Hello, Love Talkers. Right now, I'm joined by Anne-Marie O'Leary, who is the editor-in-chief here at NetMoms, the UK's biggest parenting website. Thank you so much for joining us, Anne-Marie.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and the profession you're in.
So I am a journalist. That's how I've got the job of being the editor-in-chief of NetMoms, the UK's biggest parenting site. I tend to specialise in women's interest journalism and health, which is the perfect combination for NetMoms. Yeah, that's how I got the job.
Great. So you're married, and how many children do you have?
Yes, I'm married and I have 2 children. My son Atticus is 4 and my daughter Florence is 2.
I'm sure they're always keeping you busy at home.
Very busy, very busy.
Great. So roughly at what point of your career did you decide to start a family, or was it by choice?
Yes, so I got married when I was, I guess, at the equivalent of features editor level as a journalist, working on a magazine with my first child, my son. When he was a year old, I took a year of maternity leave. When he was a year old, I came back to work because our finances meant that I had to. Yeah. Most UK families nowadays need 2 incomes in order to sustain any kind of standard of living.
Especially in London.
Especially in London. It's very, very expensive. We had a choice to make. My husband's job can only be done in London, can't be done anywhere else.
What does he do?
He works in the city, he works for a bank. And the choice we could make was we could both see our kids every day, but I would have to work in order to contribute to the finances, or we would move out of London, which would be cheaper, but he wouldn't see them Monday to Friday. And we decided that in the best interest of everybody, I would return to work part-time. And that's how we've carried on since then. I took another year of maternity leave when I had my daughter, and the job that I came back to after that was this one, the job at NetMoms.
So it wasn't planned. It was.
I know it was planned. It was planned.
Okay.
But I think most parents or most mums will understand that you have to make your plans at every single stage of your parenting journey, and they all have to kind of shift as your child's life stage and your childcare options and everything as they change.
Okay. And did being pregnant and having children at that point in your career affect your career any way?
Absolutely. So at the time that I chose to get pregnant with my son, I was in line for promotion in the job that I was in, and actually that promotion didn't happen as a result of me being pregnant, because they decided that they didn't want to promote someone who was pregnant and about to go on maternity leave, and I lost out on that promotion. So yeah, that was a pretty big hit to take.
How did that make you feel?
Pretty rubbish at the time. So I'd worked very, very hard to position myself and to hit all the goals that I needed to hit in order to gain that promotion. But you take it on the chin. Journalism is a very competitive industry, and you kind of have to move on and make the situation work for you. I knew I wanted to be a parent more than I ever wanted to be kind of successful in my job. My children will always take precedence over anything else in my life. But yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Did you even try to say something about that, or discuss it with your
but
manager?
ultimately decisions are decisions, and you just have to move on.
Okay, so tell us a little bit. So one of the Vox Pops questions that we got from the interviews that we did in the Street Chats was they want to know how you juggle everything from being a family woman, with 2 children, very young children still, and having a successful career here in journalism.
I don't know how I do it, to be honest. I don't know if I do it successfully or not. Time will tell. Well, I only work part-time. My children are only 4 and 2, and I wouldn't be comfortable working full-time. That's my choice. Other people may make other choices. We needed me to go back to work in order to contribute financially. And I had a choice. It was interesting. When I had my daughter, I had the choice between working 3 days a week in a much lesser paid job, which by the time I'd paid for 2 lots of childcare would have left me with £30 a month left over, or to come back to my job, which is 4 days a week, and much better paid, and would actually mean that I had some money left over. And that was a really hard decision to make, because I really did not want to work more than 3 days. But when we sat and did the sums, it didn't make any sense not to. So for now, this is the choice that I've made. But I think that's the key thing. I always say for now. As your children age, they enter different stages of their lives. My son will be going to school in September, which throws up a whole different set of issues. I think you just have to be prepared to be flexible and to keep questioning your choices as you go along, and to keep moulding the situation information that is your day-to-day life around the exact phase and stage that you're in.
So a few things that we've already learned, well I've learned anyway from just this discussion, is it's a calculations game.
It really is.
And you have to be flexible, so you don't have to stick to your routine right now and stick to it forever.
Exactly. I think the position of women in the world of work anyway, it has changed a lot, and probably men as well. You don't tend to enter the world of work when you're 18 or 21 and stay in that field of work for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
We're all probably, because we need to, work well into our 70s now. I doubt
we're
going to be able to retire in our 60s like our parents were able to.
Yeah.
So I think most people are going to have different phases of their careers. And so I don't think that mindset of having to shift around your children in their different phases is that unusual. I think every woman and every man actually is probably having to address their career in stages rather than see it as one long continuum.
So moving on to the next question, it's actually a question from the public again. So they want to know what is a day in the life of a successful woman like? So from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep.
On a working day.
On a working day, yeah.
Well, for a start, I don't know that I'm a successful woman, but there we go. On a working day, so my children tend to wake up at about 6 a.m, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So we all get up together
Okay.
and we have breakfast. And we get dressed and we play and we read and we hang out as we're starting to get ready for our day. Okay. Then my husband and I, we take it in turns to take them to nursery, which is the childcare that they have when I'm at work.
Yeah.
So 2 days a week I come into the office early because he takes them in to nursery. It means I can get here earlier and kind of make a head start, as it were. Yeah. And 2 days a week I take them. We walk there. I think it's really important to get some exercise together. And a psychologist once told me that the most important conversations you'll ever have with your children are either when you're driving in the car or walking together, because you don't have eye contact, and so they'll tell you things they wouldn't normally tell you otherwise.
Take note.
It's a very good tip.
Of that one.
So we take our walk to nursery and from nursery every day really seriously, and it's really nice. Then I battle my way into work on the tube, which isn't very pleasant for those of you who don't live in London.
Especially in London, yeah.
And so I get here, so I either start my day at 8 or 9, and then my day in the office is many and varied. I lead a team of around 10 journalists, producing all of the content that appears on NetMums. Yeah. So that can be articles, it can be video, it can be Facebook posts, it can be tweets. But I also represent us in the media, so I often have to go on the radio or television. Yeah. I have to strategize and come up with new content formats for the business. I have to liaise with our group in Paris. So occasionally, a couple of times a year, I might have to travel with my job. I always try and make sure that I'm not away for more than 2 nights at a time, and I try and limit it to 2 or 3 times a year.
And that's your choice. Yeah.
That's my choice, but I really try and limit it, because the most important thing for me is that I have, on the days that I have to work, that I am there for quality time in the morning, and I always pick them up in the evening, and I have quality time with them there, and it's always me who puts them to bed. Yeah. So I work throughout the day. I don't tend to take a lunch break. I even don't.
Which is very bad, and we don't recommend.
I know, we don't recommend that. I don't have time to go to the loo most days.
Which is very bad, and we don't recommend.
Yes. And then at 5, I leave on the dot, and I go and pick up my children. We walk home together. We play. We have supper together. We have bath. We have story time, and they go to bed. And then I have my evening, which isn't very long because I have to be up at 6, so I try and be in bed at 9 every night.
Okay. So it doesn't sound as bad as you think it would, as being a mum and, you know, having to go to work and having your career.
Yeah, I think the hard thing is all the things that don't get done. So on the day that you're at work, you've got to get your work done. When I'm with my children, I want to be with them and have a lovely time with them. That doesn't leave a lot of time for doing the shopping, buying birthday cards and sending them to people, planning our finances, planning a holiday, keeping up with friends. I once read a really interesting article that said that you've only basically got space for 4 things in your life. So if you're working and you've got kids and you've got a relationship to sustain, exactly, it really doesn't leave you with much time. And I would say at this kind of crucial time when my kids really, really need me the most, so when I'm with them, I'm very present with them, and I'm actively playing with them and doing stuff.
And no, you're not on your phone.
I'm not on my phone.
On a laptop.
I'm not hanging out with my friends while they do something else.
Which I think is very important.
Well, but I would say things have suffered. I don't have any time to myself, but that's my choice, and I really don't keep up with my friends unless my friends live near me and have children of a similar age.
Or come over to the house.
For this phase in my life, that's what I've chosen to sacrifice. And that's hard, but that's my choice.
And something that I also picked up from you is the importance of having a partner. So how is that so crucial to your working life and family life?
I'm very fortunate that I have a partner. Lots of people don't, and it's through it's no grand design, it's luck. But we parent and we treat every aspect of our life and split every aspect of our life very equally, and I'm very, very fortunate in that way. Yeah. So we split the childcare in terms of dropping them at nursery, picking them up, all of that kind of stuff. We always share bath and bedtime, we share all the cooking, we share everything, and I think that's really important. I just don't see how you could be someone who worked and had children and everything fell to you. I mean, I don't. Honestly, if the people who do it deserve a medal, they have my hugest respect, my absolute hugest respect.
I agree with you there. Moving slightly, talking about one of the reports that's come out from Office for National Statistics in England and Wales, and then they've said that women over 40 are now having more babies than women under 20 for the first time since 1947. Now, do you think women in careers has anything to do with that, or what's your opinion on that?
It's a tricky one. I really kind of hate the assumption that people are having children later because they're so in love with their careers that they're kind of forgetting to have children or leaving it too late. I think it's a much more complex situation than that. I'm 38, I have a lot of friends who are kind of in that zone, and those who haven't had children, in the most it's because they haven't met anyone to have children with. And I think the other thing we have to bear in mind is most people aren't working for the fun of it. Most people are working because they have to pay the bills. Yeah. I definitely fall into that camp. Most people I know fall into that camp. Yeah. So to assume that it's because people are in love with their jobs and that's why they're doing it, I think is a bit of a mistake.
Maybe there are.
I'm sure there are. Everyone makes different decisions in their life, but I think we should just bear in mind that that statistic is made up of lots of different women making lots of different choices. In some cases, we're very lucky to have the choices available to us. We all now have an education available to us, which is fantastic. We can work, we can get the jobs that we want to do, we can succeed where we want to, but we also have lots of things that aren't really choices. It's not my choice to live in one of the world's most expensive cities. It's just kind of happened. I don't set the rate of inflation. I didn't plan Brexit, which means that house prices are taking us on. Do you know what I mean? So we're all just making the best of the life that we have.
Okay, that's very good points there. So in your opinion, can you still progress in your career while having a family? I'm sure I know the answer to that.
You can. It's not easy. And you're constantly having to make choices along the way. You're constantly having to make a choice between, shall I do this or shall I do that? Shall I stay the extra hour at work and get that report in early and look like the shining star, or shall I go home and put my kids to bed? I know which one I choose every time. It's really, really, really hard, but it can be done. Women are amazing, and women find all kinds of wonderful ways to make the world a better place and to achieve and to succeed and to make their children's lives brilliant, but it's not easy.
I agree. So what were the toughest moments of being a mother and working at the same time, and how did you cope with it and overcome it?
I would say I probably had two key awful times. One is when I was pregnant with my daughter, so I already had a child and I was back at work. I suffered from hyperemesis, so very severe morning sickness, where I actually ended up being hospitalised through dehydration. And I had to take 4 months off work during my pregnancy I was basically bedridden. That was really, really tough. Feeling like I was failing my toddler because I couldn't look after him, I just wasn't well enough. I wasn't well enough to be at work either. That was a really horrible time. So I think a lot of the time people underestimate the toll that pregnancy itself can take. We think of working women as having the children, but actually being pregnant and working
quickly.
It's pretty tough too. You know, for those first 12 weeks, you often haven't told your employer even that you're pregnant. You probably haven't even told your friends, and that's the time when you're most likely to feel rotten. So that being pregnant and working is really hard. And the other thing is, it all only works if everyone's okay. The minute someone gets sick, and children get sick all the time, it all starts to fall apart. I'm very lucky that my husband and I always share the childcare when anybody is ill. but also as a mum, you desperately want to be with your child all the time. So that's really, really hard.
Yeah. So what did you do at that point when you felt ill? So you just had to kind of get through it?
The hardest actually is probably when your child is ill, and my husband and I have developed this strategy now that when they're ill, we split the day. So one of us will probably go to work at like 5 in the morning and work till lunchtime while the other one's at home, and then we switch in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
But that leads to pretty exhausted parents.
Okay. You've given us a lot of advice already, but what is your top tips for women out there who are planning to have a family and yet also have their careers to think about and how they juggle everything? What's your advice?
Oh, I don't know. I would say don't plan too far ahead. Someone once told me only ever plan 6 months ahead, and at every 6 month stage ask yourself how you're feeling and is it working. And I think that's a pretty good strategy to have. You can't know how you're going to feel. Having a child changes how you feel about everything.
Yeah.
And jobs change all the time as well, and whether you like your job or you don't like your job is going to keep changing. So just keep checking in with yourself and don't try and plan too far ahead. No one knows what the future holds.
Don't plan far ahead. Great. So finally, tell us a little bit about NetMums and how did it start, and how do you help working women, more importantly?
So NetMums is the UK's largest parenting website. We have over 9 million unique users every month. We feel very privileged that that's 9 million mums choosing to come to NetMums and interact with us every month.
Not just mums, dads as well.
Dads as well, yes.
Dads
5% of our
yeah.
users are dads too, and grandparents, and people involved in childcare. It started 16 years ago. 3 mums met at a playgroup and decided that this newfangled thing called the internet could be a fantastic way of bringing mums together to share information and to arrange meetups locally. So it's very much about not just pushing out advice and telling people how to parent. It's about bringing women together, bringing mums together, and helping them share and interact with each other. And 16 years later, we're still doing exactly what we did on day one. We're just doing more of it and talking to more people. And I'm very, very proud of the fact that at a time when women are going back to work more, are juggling these very busy, hectic lives that involve children and jobs, that we provide somewhere where people can come and let off steam and talk about that and share tips and advice. It's a real privilege, it's a real honour.
Brilliant. So thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for your time, and thank you to NetMums as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, and hopefully see you again next time.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.